Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And I thought today what we should do is take a look at the lesson that's assigned for evening prayer from the Gospel of St. John. We actually began the story yesterday, and it's an interesting story because, first of all, it shows how Jesus breaks down all sorts of cultural norms in order to get across the message of God's mercy and God's love. Because, first of all, in yesterday's part of the reading, this woman from Samaria is at the well, and Jesus sits down by the well and asks her to draw some water for him. Now, the first thing, of course, is that generally men do not have conversations with strange women in public. That is just not kosher, as it would be. Not really kosher, but you know what I mean. And on top of that, it's the woman who points out to him that how is it that you, a Jew, would speak to me, a Samaritan? Now remember, the Samaritans are heretics. The Samaritans hold false teaching about Yahweh, about God. When the tribes were dispersed during the exile, the Babylonian exile, some of the tribes adopted pagan practices and incorporated them into the true religion of the covenant between God and the people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And those are the Samaritans. They are theologically incorrect. And so it is shocking to this woman that a good Jewish man would be addressing her. But then, of course, yesterday Jesus went on to talk about that if you knew who it was that was addressing you, you would ask him to give you water. You ask me to give you water because the water I will give you will be a well welling up in you. You will never thirst again. So we pick up here in chapter 4 at verse number 15. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, and neither come hither to draw. Jesus saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. And the woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and thou saidst that truly. Now, of course, Jesus has just taken her inventory, hasn't he, right? And he says, the woman responds, not with any sort of apology, but the woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped. Now she changes the subject, notice. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say, In Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither worship in this mountain or at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship what ye know not know, what we worship. For salvation is of the Jews. So again, Jesus is affirming the truth that the Samaritans have it wrong, but the Jews are the ones who have the real relationship with the real and living God. Ye know not what ye worship. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called the Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. So there it is. Jesus comes right out and proclaims that he is in fact the Messiah. And it is not to the Jews, but here he is proclaiming it to a Samaritan, somebody who is outside of the original covenant. Now, a lot of important things for us to unpack here. I mean, as I point out, she changes the subject when he talks about her moral failings. And tomorrow you'll actually deal with the implications of that when she says that I figured out he's the Messiah because he told me everything I did. So that actually gets her attention. But she changed the subject very quickly to a spiritual one where she says, you say you worship in Jerusalem, we say we worship right here. And Jesus says, look, salvation's of the Jews. The story comes from the real, authentic relationship between Yahweh, the living God, and Abraham and his descendants. So that he's letting the Samaritans know theologically they're just wrong. But Jesus says what's more important now is not where you worship, but that you worship in spirit and in truth. And of course, the truth is Jesus Christ, right? He is the Messiah. And that's what we do. We worship in spirit and in truth. It doesn't matter whether we're worshiping here in Detroit, or we're worshiping in the suburbs, or we're worshiping in Jerusalem, or at the Washington National Cathedral, or some shrine somewhere. Those are all great places to go and worship if they move our hearts to love Jesus and to serve him more and more. But the key is, of course, is that we love him in spirit and in truth. Right? And that's what Jesus has come to bring, so that worship no longer has to be centralized in a temple. There no longer has to be animal sacrifices to suffice and stand in the place as a representation for the forgiveness of sins. Jesus Christ will end up being the ultimate sacrifice for sin, the one sufficient sacrifice once offered for the sins of the whole world. And so it is that we worship him. We worship the living God in spirit and in truth, no matter where we are. Today's Thursday. We do have Holy Communion this morning at 10:30 at St. John's, followed by the service of benediction. You can watch that online at stjohnsdetroit.org or on our Facebook page. And, of course, please do go to the St. John's Detroit page and click to the clickable link for Sign Up Genius to sign up for a worship service here at St. John's. Yes, you can worship him in spirit and truth anywhere. You can only receive the Blessed Sacrament in church. Saturday night, 3, 4, and 5, and Sunday, 7:30, 8, 9, 10, 11:30, 12:30, and 5 o'clock. Plenty of opportunities for you to join in the worship of the church in spirit and in truth, and receive God in the Blessed Sacrament. Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. Have a wonderful Thursday, and may God bless you.